What is going on, guys? Welcome to the video. Today is part 3 of the 6 things to basically
change your life.
Yeah, 6 things to change your life where you need pretty much no effort. So today we're going to dive in a little deeper into macros and micros, how to balance them, what they are, what's their purpose, all of that good stuff.
What is a macronutrient, Jules?
Yeah, that's a good question, huh?
Macronutrients are your proteins, your fats, and your carbs.
Yeah.
Are the simple ones. Protein, obviously, we already talked about that in the previous video. It's a necessity for weight loss, muscle building, and just general day-to-day life.
Yeah.
We mentioned it was 0.8 grams per pound, roughly.
On average.
On average, most of the time from a general stated purpose, I usually say about 100 grams to 120 grams of protein, depending on the size of the person, but that usually across all boards. And then once the person gets close to those numbers, then we start to play with it. Fat being one of the higher calorie macronutrients.
Protein and carbs is 4 calories per gram.
Exactly.
Fat is 9 calories per gram. So that's why, when we talk about fat, trying to watch out for fat, it's not necessarily because fat is bad for you. It's just because
it can be. In abundance.
Yeah. It just adds up very, very quickly. Like a handful of nuts is full of fat. Is it necessarily bad for you? No, but
So I remember eating a half a bag of almonds, and it was like those Costco Kirkland almonds, and it was like 3,500 calories.
Oh yeah, easy.
And when I sit there and talk to people, they're like, well, I only had a handful. And I'm like, do you have any idea how many calories that was? Well, no. And it's like, okay, go do your due diligence, figure it out, and then we'll talk. And they're like, oh, I get it. And I'm like, yeah, if you consume 600 calories from nuts and you're not full, well...
Yeah, that's...
Good Lord, if your calorie allotment for one day is 2,000, you're now down to 1,400, and you just still got to get through it.
Yeah.
Carbs are definitely a necessity. I think we associate high carbs with gaining weight, which is not accurate.
No.
You can gain weight eating high carb, high fat, high protein. It doesn't matter. Yeah. It's all about the calories that you're consuming.
Yeah. And carbs are your body's preferred source of energy. So that's why they're very useful. Your body's going to use those up first thing as energy.
And there's the negative stigma around carbs, and it's infuriating. If you think a potato is going to make you gain weight, one medium-sized potato, sweet potato or regular potato, is about 200 calories. Yeah. Try to eat 6 potatoes in a sitting, and that's the equivalent of 1 bag of chips. The only difference is that bag of chips you could easily destroy because it's highly palatable, which means we enjoy eating it. We don't feel that sense of satiety consuming it, so we tend to overconsume. So potatoes won't make you fat.
And it's also full of fat.
Well, yeah.
That too.
But this is where portioning is so important, especially if you enjoy junk food. You don't have to cut it out, but you have to be very careful because it's very easy to just eat 1,000 calories in junk food and then being absolutely dumbfounded when you can't lose weight. And it's like, that's how weight happens. Simple. You have a maintenance amount of calories. Let's say it's 2,000. If you're 10 to 20% above it, weight gain. If you're 10 to 20% below it, weight loss. Yep. The hardest part that people struggle with is figuring out what that maintenance calorie is, or they're so low calorie, there's so much fear around increasing calories. And by increasing calories, it's going to be immediate weight gain. And it's like, well, you can't live on 1,200 calories for the rest of your life.
No.
So those are the macronutrients. So fats, proteins, carbs.
So ideally,
I tell people to start with balance. So let's say 35% being protein and carb, and then 30% being fat. It's easy to keep that breakdown and then manipulate it as you go versus trying to go all in on high protein, all in on high carb, or all in on fat. Yeah. If you're new to dieting or you're new to the food, you need to figure out how to get sustainability in your life. And then when you want to diet and do drastic things, at least you know what your base requirement is and what your body requires, and then you can manipulate all those numbers.
Yeah, you need to find balance first, see what meals kind of look like with everything. And when we're talking about 35%, 35%, 30%, we're talking about a percentage of your total calories for the
Your maintenance.
Yeah.
So if it's 2,000,
Yeah.
35% of 2,000 on protein, carb, and 30% on fat.
So like whatever's highest on the macro list. So like if something has more carbs than it has proteins or fats, then it's a carb source. If something has more protein than anything else, it's a protein source. So just go with the bigger number, and that's your source.
You don't have to track macros forever.
Oh, no.
But you need to understand how many calories you're consuming every time you consume food. If you have no idea, no one's going to know what to give you for nutritional prescription.
Yeah.
Are you consuming 3,000 calories a day in junk food, but you can't lose weight? Okay, you have no idea if that number is adequate or not. Yeah. You might be consuming 1,500 calories a day and not losing weight. It just means you're not in a deficit.
Yeah.
That is a big problem with women, is this diet notion of diet every year, every day, constantly under eating, and then you can't lose weight, but you're eating 1,200 calories.
Yeah.
And then so, well, where do you go from there? Well, you can't keep cutting.
When you hit rock bottom, the only way out is up. So you'll have to bump your calories up at some point.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to gain weight if you bump your calories up. If you do it over the course of time, weeks, months, if you add 150 calories every 10 days, that is literally half an avocado.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're going to sit, I had a client be like, "Well, that's a lot," and I'm like, "Man, really? Like half an avocado? You can't throw that in there."
Just,
and I'm not saying every 10 days. Every 10 days, if you start at 1,250, in 10 days you should be aiming for 1,400.
Yeah.
And then 10 days after that, 1,550. If you gain a pound or half a pound, don't get nervous or upset that you're just going to put on a ton of weight.
Yeah. But
it has to happen.
I feel like that falls down into another thing about macros, where depending on your macro split, like your body composition will be different.
Absolutely.
And that's why protein is so important, because if you eat your calorie intake and that's on par, but you eat carbs and fats all day with little amounts of protein, like, yeah, you'll potentially lose weight. But in terms of like how
your recovery and exercise is going to be terrible, your ability to put on muscle needs calories. The more muscle you have, the more calories your body's going to require. That's why it's advantageous to resistance train to build muscle. Yeah. No female will be jacked in a day. No male is going to be jacked in a day. No. If a female can come in here and look like me after a week, we have $1 trillion business right now, and we have to figure out how to monetize that. Yeah. It's not going to happen. And if you also think on the other side, if you think gaining 20 pounds over the course of 10 years, if you think you're going to lose that in a week, you're setting yourself up for failure before you even start. Yeah. And then when you don't achieve that weight loss number, you're just going to be upset. The more active you are and the more food that you consume, provided your metabolism can support it, as long as your total weekly calorie allotment is more or less where it needs to be, you absolutely can derail your nutrition. Weight loss can be done with poor eating, provided you're in a deficit. So you want to go out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and enjoy yourself? Make sure it fits in your calorie allotment for the week. Don't do it day by day. So if you need 2,000 calories a day, that's 14,000 calories a week. If you know your weekend is going to be hectic from a food or socialization standpoint, eat less during the week, allow for a bigger calorie window on the weekend.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's an ideal situation. Don't work for the weekend. But the premise of this information is to give people an understanding. You can still live your life, you can still enjoy your life, and you can still lose weight.
Yeah.
We just don't do anything. We sit, we go, well, now even more so working from home.
Yeah.
No one moves, but everyone just snacks because it's convenient.
It's right there.
When COVID hit, I gained 16 pounds in 6 weeks because I was still eating, I was probably eating like 7,000 calories a day. Mostly junk food, I'll admit. And I was astounded.
But I mean, try to get that many calories in
from clean food.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's like 10 chicken breasts. Like no way.
No. On that note, like, subscribe. We will see you in the next one. Peace.